Did I get you? You were ready for that one.
Go ahead and talk for me.
Talk, talk, talk.
Like how you would normally talk.
This is how I would normally talk. And occasionally I'll talk like this. Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Check 1, 2. Yo, yo, where it at? You gotta bring that beat back.
Case, please.
Yeah, you're right. Alright, I don't want to talk about glass for a while.
Can you talk
so
in
let's
the mic?
talk about 64.
Mic check.
Oh. Come out on speakers and everything.
Hello.
Why is she special?
You're so crazy.
Sorry I have this crazy zombie eye. I'd
okay.
scratched it.
You're listening to
Five and what?
iCannabisRadio.com.
Days. I'm not Georgia. Are you Georgia?
Not last time I checked.
All right. So we're doing Georgia's show without her today. It is actually Gavin's 8th birthday, so they're out celebrating that. So she left it in control of me and Genonymous, which we're about to find out if that was a good idea or not.
It's a great idea.
But we do have the lovely Chole Villano in here with us.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. She is one of the experts on the legalities, and we're going to have her in here to talk a little bit about Amendment 64. If you don't know what that is, you obviously haven't been listening or paying attention to anything in the state of Colorado lately.
Yep, if you want to turn Colorado into the #1 tourist destination on Earth, vote yes on 64 and reap the benefits through jobs and economic growth.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. And it helps grow the schools. I mean, I guess
Schools,
basically,
taxation.
Can you give us just a quick summary of what exactly 64 is?
Yes. What Amendment 64 is right now we have a medical cannabis industry. So 64 splits that industry into a recreational and a medical use. So anyone with an ID, Colorado state ID, or actually as it states, any ID nationally that's 21 years of age or older can purchase marijuana for recreational use, and it will be regulated. So there's a couple differences because some people say legalization is compared to like recreation, but you can't get everything. So as we're sitting here, we have to look at this and say, it takes the current medical model and it separates that vertically integrated industry where you have to have the MMC, which is a dispensary, and an OPC, and you have to cultivate 70% of everything you sell retail, and you can only wholesale 30%, and all that patient paperwork. That's the kind of stuff that a lot of this eliminates.
Okay.
It also takes penalties down to civil penalties. So instead of people, young kids getting felonies for smoking marijuana, which, if they're getting drunk, you're going to send them to class and say, you can't get drunk, dumb kid, you got to go to class.
Exactly.
You don't just ruin their life, though, and give them a felony. So I think that it's a step in the right direction, as much as we possibly can with what they'll allow us to do.
So you say it splits it between medical and recreational. So how does that work out for, example, the medical marijuana centers and actually acquiring the product?
Well, that's a great question. And we're going to have retail locations, and then we're going to have cultivation locations. So you will be able to, like if you're a caregiver, right now all you can grow is 5 plants, 6 plants apiece. In Denver, I think it's a maximum of 12 plants.
Yeah.
You'll be able to grow as much as they allow you to. I don't know how much that's going to be. They'll have to implement a set of rules once it's passed.
There's a federal limitation at 99 right now that you overstep those boundaries, you're out of state legislation, I think.
I've heard a lot about that in California and things like that. It's interesting to see where they're going to go with it.
Right? Or they have a law that they're voting on that's going to allow no limits. I was listening to that.
Really?
Steve from Harborside was talking about that the other on some show I was watching.
I don't know about the no limits thing, how that's ever going to fly,
Well,
but
it's never going to fly federally. That's
right.
for sure.
And we don't want to bring in the wrong attention, and I think that's been the biggest thing with 64 is are we going to cause more federal attention by it not being just our medical model by implementing this recreationally.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are worried about it.
Yeah, as we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
So how does that change, like an example? Ooh. So, how does that change, for example, you say it's going to split the recreation and the medical. What does that do to dispensaries? Do they stay dispensaries and have to stay medical? Or can they just turn around and be like, oh, we're not medical anymore?
Well, there has to be a set of rules implemented, and those have to be implemented by October of 2013. So we still have a year. And that would be Laura Harris, the head of the DOR, that would have to do that. And she has multiple groups, Sensible Act, people who are going to come in and I'm sure help her with the rule writing on those, but or the rule making.
But like if you had an MMJ center currently and had the infrastructure available to outsource any extra product you had to non-medical patients, would you be able to do that? Or is that still up to her?
No, actually, what it does is it allows the cultivation facilities to sell to the retail locations.
Is Philip Morris going to take over?
Probably. No, I don't know. I mean, somebody, I'm sure, if this happens, will
R.J.
want to take
Reynolds.
over. I mean, this is a huge open-ended industry right now. And we have to remember, I mean, we're facing, a federal rescheduling here.
Yeah.
And if that happens,
If we go Schedule 2, then I mean the enforcement it's all going to change drastically because they're going to have to take emphasis off of it.
well, the pharmacies will then probably be who's able to sell the product. So it's not like,
so you're going to have to be an actual pharmacy. It's going to have.
well,
to,
I mean, it could be.
because I mean, as we know, mass production equals a reduction in quality of any product. I mean, you can
Right.
take Ritz crackers and you can make a single batch, or you can make them mass produced. That single batch can be good.
Yeah, it's true. And that
So-
single batch is easy to test.
Yep.
You could take the same product in it, and it's going to be consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's going to be developing a whole new standard of labels and, how we test
Here's
these products
another
as well.
thing is that there's so many problems that are inherent with the growing and cultivation of marijuana that aren't in tobacco and all that. No one's going to buy any outdoor produced marijuana that resembles anything that R.J. Reynolds grows in Virginia. You don't.
I mean, they
you don't-
could if it's the cheap option, I mean, if it comes in a pack of pre-rolled,
Yeah.
essentially marijuana cigarettes and is, your lowest price point, I mean, I'd easily see people, diving into that. Obviously, the connoisseurs and the true heads, as we tend to call them, will still want.
With legalization, the price will be so low. I mean, you have potency always on the rise. You have price always on the decline. So why would you settle for a second-grade product if you can have a first-grade product at a price point that everyone finds acceptable?
Oh, I see what you're saying there. I mean, obviously, like those of us in this room, we would still go seek out, our tried and true, our favorite strains. We want it to look right. If it doesn't smell right, we're gonna go look for someone else.
But here's
But I
the
mean, I
thing
can see
is
someone
that-
I'll take a pack of Marlboro Blacks.
Well, I mean, what about the guy who normally goes and gets a beer after work?
Exactly.
And he's 41 years old. He runs his own business. He's exhausted. He hasn't smoked weed in 20 years because, he might get fired for it or whatever it is.
Well,
But he decides he wants to, go buy a joint and take it home. It's not going to matter to him. If it's $2 or whatever, he's going to be happy to just have whatever. But the 18-year-old kid from Kansas or, maybe we say, you can't have this. I think that's what it's going to come down to. Is, not so much the product will in the end find its way. The people who end up, I mean, there could be branding, so many different things that come of this.
It wouldn't be so
Which
popular
will.
unless it was a good product and it's a viable alternative. I mean, I used to drink at 21. I kept bartenders, child support paid.
Yeah.
And now I drink, 4 or 5 beers a week, if even. Like I'll go 2 weeks without drinking a single alcoholic beverage and not care a bit.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I drank a beer.
Oh yeah, I can't
Yeah.
either. I've seen you drink one beer in the last 2 years, so that's
That probably was
and
the
I don't
last
think
one
you
I had.
finished it.
Wow,
Probably not.
really?
I got one.
Yeah. So
It's
yeah.
interesting.
It's not my vice, It's not my
How
thing.
many car wrecks you got in the last 2 years?
0.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. Pot's
I
bad.
drive stoned all the time.
Oh, geez.
Don't tell anybody that.
I don't know.
I just told y'all in this room.
Yeah, everyone in this room. This
You got some
extended.
dirt on me now.
There
But,
you go.
Paul, to answer your question too, current medical marijuana centers will be the first to be able to apply for recreational or decide if they want to turn their MMC recreational. So that's kind of the bone that they threw at the medical marijuana industry was they're the first that get to do it. And that's huge because we're already a couple years behind in applying for new medical licenses. So how long is it going to be before recreational licenses are really given out? And by then, like you said, who's going to be here? As far as
Yeah.
I saw your Facebook the other day said, when opportunity knocks, let's make them beg for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the truth, though.
Yeah.
It's setting up at this point because it's so new. We're writing that model.
Yeah. Do you see any of like our current MMC saying, no, we want to stay medical? Or do you see every single one of them saying, no, we want guy from New York to come in here and vacation. Or
Like we were having the conversation earlier. Who in the hell? I mean, every single ad in Sky Mall, or Sky Mall or Southwest Airlines magazine, every one of them's gonna be come to Colorado, get high as shit.
Well,
that's gonna be that's where we're gonna go with this if we don't act a little bit responsible.
Exactly, and that's kind of one of my concerns. Like we had just started talking about right before we started, the show is, I mean, we're all hoping, we all have our fingers crossed that 64 is going to pass. I mean, I think
would rather have seen 70 up for the initiative.
But I think we all have a good feeling that it's going to pass. Of course, we're within the industry, so we have high hopes. But as I said, we really won't know until tomorrow night. Are people done with the Obama experiment? And then if an extreme conservative power like Romney comes in, so he wins and 64 passes, what is that going to do to us? Because I can see someone conservative like Romney saying, oh, no, this isn't going down on my watch.
This is a huge arm wrestling match right now. So,
I mean, it's not just we're going to pass it and it's over. It really just begins. I mean, that's when we have to work hard. And Romney has stated that he doesn't want this industry to exist, that he would tear this industry down.
And he's going to overturn Roe versus Wade and all these other things that the Congress is not going to allow.
Yeah,
but
Congress
where is Romney's priority list?
Exactly. And what is he going to start working with first?
You're so crazy.
But I mean, it is a concern. I mean, like, where is he going to sink his teeth into first? If he ends up being elected, And I mean, we've had enough people, complaining about Obama, saying like, "Oh, he said he wasn't going to mess with our industry." He really hasn't. I mean, he went in and
California, he has.
But I mean, around here, it's like, all right, if you're too close to a school, like you got to shut down or move. Or if you've been caught sending tons of your product out of state, then they've come in and. But I mean,
they're operating like that, and he has to make it. I mean, somebody has to make examples. Like, I don't think people understand how politics really works.
Yeah,
we don't get everything we want. That's not the way life works, and they're actually letting us do this. And we've been through hell because the system we currently have is so terrible, but it's still regulated. It's hard to say. Like, are we doing the right thing by giving them every move we're making? And being so regulated, yet it's still illegal on a federal level? Or is California doing it right by just taking the hits as they come and just trying to stay off the radar? And that's what we're trying to do is in Colorado is say, this is enough of this. There's a war on drugs. Half of the kids out there are dying on pharmaceutical drugs.
Yep.
Why can't they just smoke instead of drink alcohol?
Exactly.
I mean, what if we don't want to go out and rage all night and spend $500 and maybe just smoke? Is it that bad?
Exactly.
And if it helps cancer and your kid gets a hold of it and it's not going to kill him like your other pills, are you still mad about that too?
There's thousands of things inside a normal person's house that if overconsumed are going to kill you. I mean, you eat too much cottage cheese and blow up,
Yeah, I mean, you get stomach cancer.
No one wants to talk to you.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, there's anything can kill you, but I'm sorry, it takes a lot of weed. I mean, god damn, there's no telling how much consumption it would take to kill a person. And it's going to be from overheating because they can't expel all that.
And it's not for everyone, just like alcohol is not. I mean, like, if a kid's failing out of school, it's not for that kid. A kid shouldn't even be doing this. If you go to college and all you're doing is smoking, it's probably time to get your ass in gear.
It has nothing to do with the marijuana usage. It has to do with, your lack of priorities.
Yep.
Well, Uncle Joey used to say that. It's not when you do the drug, it's when the drug does you.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a solid point. But, I mean, if motivation's your problem, motivation's your problem. Mm-hmm. If you choose to relax and sit around and smoke pot all day, I mean, that's on you. I mean, I've been smoking since I was 12 years old. I love the shit out of it and everything. But you know what?
But you also own 2 businesses.
Yeah, and I don't smoke during the day. I mean, John and I work together. I mean, all the time people are like, hey, you want to go take a smoke break? I'm like, no. I like to stay on my A game while I work. Mm-hmm. Then when I get home and I'm on my couch and I'm comfortable, shit, yeah.
He is so much cooler.
And does
once
that
he
make
gets
you a
home.
bad person? Well, that's what they're saying. Does that make you a bad person
anymore.
Because you choose marijuana
According to John,
over
it
alcohol?
does.
It does what?
Makes me a bad person.
What it does?
Choosing marijuana over alcohol?
Oh, absolutely not.
But I mean, I think that's what the Amendment
He's a hell of a
64 panel, by the way, when you say
Always, by
70,
default.
70 was written amazing.
Yeah.
It was just, it allowed for so much. But right now, we're here.
No,
So-
and I'm happy to be here because here is not there. You don't touch the mic.
Backbeat with you.
Oh, I don't.
I don't know if you
If you would have given him headphones, he would have known.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dig your own grave, Chris.
Well, I think we've got a
Love you,
commercial break coming up. So we will be back in just a few moments to continue this interesting conversation.
The law offices of Edson Maton and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
And we're back. Now we're back.
officially.
So, Janonymous should return soon, hopefully. Let's see, where were we? Yeah, well, I mean, we were kind of talking about the recreational use of marijuana versus alcohol and everything, which obviously cannabis is safer than alcohol. We all know that.
Can you talk a little bit about the hemp side of the bill?
Sure. Somebody just asked us to touch point here on the hemp bill. Jason Love actually wrote the hemp bill, which was 12-1099.
Yeah.
And Amendment 64 does allow us to grow industrial hemp, which is huge for biotechnologies, fuel, clothing, ropes, paper, anything that we can make. Like even we could build houses, cars, everything out of hemp. So that alone is huge. You know, besides the first 40 million of A64 going to fund schools.
Yeah.
I think that the hemp is probably one of the best parts. And Jason is actually, we just did a fundraiser for him. He's up in Canada at the National Hemp Convention writing another bill, you know, implementing rules for when it comes here. So that way the farmers will have a chance to be able to start growing hemp as well.
Yeah.
Guess whose dad owns 3 farms in Kansas?
Too bad it's Kansas.
That's all right. Sign that hemp bill, and we're gonna.
It's a step, yeah.
You know what's really
Kansas, I
sad
would
is
see
Russell
following.
Means died like 2 weeks ago, and he's part of the Lakota Sioux Nation.
Yeah.
That is the most unfortunate tragedy to happen in the last month in the United States of America. In case none of y'all know who the hell he is, look him up. He's a great guy.
For sure.
Big part of the Indian movement.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I want to touch on as well that you just mentioned, you know, the first 40 million going to education. I mean, how are you going to deny that?
It's hard. I mean, do you somebody's going to make this. This is $1 billion a year, $14 billion a year underground market.
Yeah.
Is what they say. So if
that they know of.
Exactly. So
They exaggerate.
times that times 3. No.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I think is if you could take that money from people who are, you know, just doing that on the street, selling it to whoever, and actually regulate it, and take that money and put it towards schools, even if you didn't agree with the use of marijuana, you're not going to be able to tell your neighbor if they should be gay. You're not going to be able to tell even your parents how to live their life. You don't have control over anything but yourself.
Exactly.
So if we can each make a difference and actually make it a better and safer community and take things off our streets and be real with each other about this, then I think it's a step in the right direction and putting that money in the right place instead of this kingpin who's going to have the money.
Exactly, and he's just going to buy dumb shit with it.
Yeah.
Extra TVs, more PlayStations.
I got
Boats.
But little stuff like that,
chains and go
Yeah.
ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was one thing that was interesting to me is, I mean, I went and voted about a week and a half ago, and, going through all the digital votes, there were two things, because I registered in Jefferson County, so that's where I was voting, and there's 3A and 3B, which were, education bills and stuff that they were, trying to implement. And, I was sitting there, and I hadn't really read over those before. But I mean, I'd seen the signs. You kind of get, all right, yeah, we want to help the kids. We want to make them smarter, so we don't keep going downhill like we are now. But
least common denominator.
But it had like little descriptions of all the bills as you were voting for them and going through. And what's interesting to me is, with Amendment 64, and saying, the first 40 million go to education and like all this. People don't know that. People don't realize that. And, we can pass 64 and help this 3A and this 3B, that are wanting to put more funding towards the libraries and the extracurricular activities, saving their art programs. But that was never, expressed in anything. It's like, hey, you want these two bills to go through and us actually be able to afford to make them happen, vote yes on this too. So here's 3 bills you can vote yes on, and they'll all work hand in hand together. That was never brought up.
Right.
I think that was a huge boat that was missed,
but
whole
look
campaign.
who writes everything that goes into those voting booths. I mean, the same people who are part of your prison industrial complex are most of your legislators.
Yeah.
And
I
they
mean, I
write
see that
those
too.
bills so that your old grandma does not know what the hell they say. They say marijuana. And they say no.
Yeah,
and they pull that lever.
Exactly,
no.
and that's what I'm saying is like
push that button.
Because I just kind of had that realization as I was
It's
reading
true,
that.
though. He's right.
It is true, and I think that's where we definitely missed the ship. Is not including that in our campaign and not including that in what we were trying to bring to the people to educate. And was just like, can you vote yes on 64, please? So that way you quit arresting my friends.
Like the No on 64 campaign, that was their
your
biggest deal.
grandchildren are all on probation
They
because
didn't feel-
of this ignorant prohibition. Do you think that's a good thing that they can't get jobs? Do you think that's a good thing that your grandchildren are now a felon? They can never own a firearm. They can never vote again. They can never do anything productive in our society or participate in our society.
Exactly.
90% of the jobs that would have been available to them prior to a felony conviction are now unavailable to them.
Exactly.
Well, what I was
Ta-da.
saying, too, is, Amendment 64 is... It takes away the criminal penalties, but even the No on 64 campaign, why they were so upset is they didn't feel like everybody as an industry came together. And then on the other hand, I could see why that is because how does everyone stand together? Everybody has a different opinion of how it should be. Sometimes some people just have to go write it.
Yeah, it's all agendized.
So you've got a lot of personal feelings between that kind of stuff. But, I mean, it could have been done in such an educational way where I see what you're saying. Because even up until a couple weeks ago, I think the symposium, we were all confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, because... we were taking, the petitions, up at our stores, sign this petition to regulate marijuana like alcohol. We were anyone that would come in, like, hey, are you registered voter in Colorado? Here, sign this. Sign this.
And we got 64 signed, and then we put 70 up when 70 came on, and we wanted 70. If those could be side by side, and if 64 was the lesser of two evils for a lot of people, so be it. But vote yes on both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that would have been smart.
It's all progressive towards
two,
what we've all wished for our whole
lives. Would have been
It's
smart.
infighting.
Yeah, I mean, and it's what we've been fighting for our whole lives. I mean, why are you going to sit there and nitpick every little tiny
because everyone wants to get compensated for their time.
Exactly.
And every one of us, goddamn, we know firsthand, it is expensive to run any kind of business and to run any kind of campaign for any kind of agenda that you may have. Costs either your time or any other commitment. So you have to, if you're focused on one thing and somebody else says, oh, I think this is better, you've already put your eggs in one basket. Well, you're going to fight tooth and nail for that basket. And unfortunately, this guy down the street's got as much invested in he has equal stakes. There's equal stakes, and you're both fighting each other, but the goals are 92% the same. But that's what happened
Just
here. We
that little
witnessed it
8%.
firsthand in the state of Colorado. You know, you have people who, you know, the 5 nanogram thing. It's like, we need that in there. No, you don't. You need to have responsible cops who know when somebody's too fucked up to drive.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, well, you need to have better training for your officers, because that's, I mean, the enforcement's the biggest issue is how's it going to be enforced?
Well, we're going to have to create a standard.
You can come up with any
A
legislation.
scientific model. I mean, you know, it was funny because I thought to myself, what do we do? Do we get a car in like a safe lot?
They've
just
done
them
this recently.
Get somebody as high as possible, and all of us have video cameras there, and we see.
And they have
we
a
have
guy
them drive a
drinking
straight line,
beer
and then
right
we
next
see
to
when they
him.
start veering off the line. You know, and how long does it take before they're intoxicated? They came up with 0.5 for a DWAI and 0.9 for a DUI.
Yeah.
DUI will ruin your life.
Not .0.
It will. It's,
exactly.
it's $80,000
Yeah.
and a lot of time.
And you're not getting jobs and all these other things that are secondary penalties of
Plus,
incarceration.
in the state of Colorado, you sign something when you get your driver's license that says if they think you're impaired in any way, that you will give them blood or alcohol or blood or urine.
Yeah.
So if you
Third option.
yeah, to give them alcohol. If
Toenails.
if you refuse, then you automatically lose your license for a year. And if you refuse like 3 times or something, you can never drive again. So
Yeah, that's pathetic.
Even if you just look high and you're not, and you
Yes,
have
if you're
100
Jim Brewer, you're
nanogram-
going to prison.
you're done. You know.
Yeah.
So where do we create the standard where, you know, patients should be able, that's where 70 had a really good clause. In Initiative 70, they said that patients could always, you know, you can't
Yeah.
drive while impaired, but if you are impaired and you're a patient, you'll have a right to defend yourself from your medical
Yeah,
condition.
because that's one of the things I never understood with the whole DUID bill is, okay, like the whole point of this medically is to be able to function as close to normal as you possibly can in normal society.
Yeah.
So if you're in so much pain that you can't move, and you know you can smoke yourself a joint or a bowl or whatever, and
The option
go
is
to
doing
work,
a
and-
bunch of legal heroin and Oxycontins and Dilaudids and all these other legal. Does no one understand what heroin is anymore?
Well,
No,
they're
they don't.
saying that you can't
Opioids
drive
are
on,
anymore?
on any pharmaceuticals either. So, I mean, that's something that we have to have a standard. If we're going to have a standard for how high you are, well, I mean, if you get into an accident and you get drug tested, where is that at? I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
And I think we as a
Tolerance.
society need to start protecting each other and writing this because, I'm sorry, the THC DUI, that's $1 million industry right there, too.
Oh yeah.
Oh no,
So-
that's way more than $1 million. That every person you
The state-
every
it's a-
person you incarcerate is $50,000 out of taxpayer money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's every single person you incarcerate. That doesn't include the cost of families who are paying for $8 collect calls to talk to their loved ones and
Having to send them
$4
money.
Twinkie.
Yeah.
I mean, god damn you people, $1 for a ramen. You know?
Yeah.
If 15 cents at King Supers, it costs the same amount for them to ship it to your fucking prison, and you're going to have a goddamn commissary that charges them $1 so you can give some dickhead who has an IQ of 12 a bunch of extra money that they do not deserve to serve it to some poor inmate who's in there for weed. Sorry.
That's business, though. Somebody's got to put the catalog together. Somebody's got to get the trucks to do the distribution. Somebody's got to do it. So that idiot with 12% brain, you know, is actually pretty sharp because he's actually getting all of the commissary items and making a profit off that.
No. He's just serving them. Some huge corporation makes the money. What's
The
that
prison system
What's the
is-
huge one in Texas?
But think how they could fund themselves without taxpayer money
Criminal
if they did have
corporation.
that.
Well, they
Or-
can, and that's the thing
whatever
is so
it
many of
is.
the prisons are
CCC.
privately owned.
Yeah, it's
Privately
for
owned.
profit.
It is a business.
Okay, so while we're on
More
prisons,
people incarcerated in
let's
America
touch that.
than any other.
And that is true. And let's touch that point because I know a lot of people, like a lot of the No on 64 campaign, which a lot of them are, you know, good friends of mine.
Put your kid
now,
in
I'm
jail
for
and have
Amendment
the same
64, but
opinion.
I couldn't imagine spending like a few years in prison and then knowing that you're going to let people stay locked up for marijuana after there's no more penalties for it, but let everybody serve their time and nobody gets out. And it's never going to happen, but it is not right. And so I can see where people are like,
It's a plant.
it's wrong, you know, to leave those people in there. And that's where I think is another place where people have those feelings where they get emotional about it because this industry's spiritual.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you're not spiritual about it, you're never successful.
Yeah. I mean, as I grew up, you know,
in
in
Oklahoma.
as conservative as it gets, and we're taught to believe that this is land of the free. Well, that's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
We all see that firsthand
You have
every
the
day
most
of our
laws
lives.
on
I think
book
we're very
of
free,
any-
though. I mean, in a lot of ways, we need to be a lot more thankful and
You wouldn't
really
be free
realize
if
what
we
we
didn't
have.
have all this money on borrowed money. The whole world, the entire United States runs on borrowed money. If we didn't have this, we would be the most miserable sack of shit country there is.
Could you
Nixon
imagine how much money they would be borrowing from us if we grew industrial hemp?
Oh, exactly.
If
We'd be out
Nixon
of
had
debt.
left us on the gold standard in '71 instead of taking us off and letting money get worthless, we would be in a different situation. But the Marijuana Tax Act, that was the beginning of the end of where the corporations really took over.
That's what's so crazy is marijuana is now going to be legalized as a tax law, and that's where the problem started in the first place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's so interesting to see how, like, they always say the same thing, make you laugh, make you cry.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny, right?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it's so true.
What's funny is that D.C. has medical marijuana, where actually
true.
all those assholes live in Northern Virginia, so we don't have to say that they live in D.C.
They
But
operate in DC.
yeah, absolutely. They have an office there on K Street. It's really nice,
Okay.
posh. Yeah, a lobbyist pays for it. It's great. So that's where we stand in America.
Well, I think that's a good point because we did pass, Congress runs the law in Washington, D.C., right? So that would be the federal government, but
You
they
would think
passed
so. I think
a medical
lobbyists.
card there, or they passed medical marijuana in Washington, D.C., so you can't have two laws that contradict each other, conflict. The
Especially
new law
in their own
automatically
in their own backyard.
rules the old law, and that's why I truly believe that this rescheduling is going to go. And I think that how long do we have an industry? What if Romney's elected? How long do we have an industry?
Exactly. That's
So
my
ask
concern.
yourself that. We got to keep moving.
And the cool thing about 64 is it will be an amendment, so that it's not something that can be repealed immediately. Like
Yeah.
Fort Collins and their whole call it what you will. that whole mess that went down. I mean, you have the Stanley boys will talk about it on their show every whenever they do that Tuesdays, I think it is. Is that them?
They're on
Overgrown
leave right now.
Oh, are they? Yeah. Well, anyways, they witnessed firsthand how you can have legislation that is, implemented, but can be reversed in a year or two after you've disbanded your entire operation.
Oh, yeah.
How can you invest $1 million into a community, give them heart and soul, put people to work, all that, and then have it taken away by popular vote by a douchebag and Ray, what's his name? Ray, whatever.
Yeah, I remember his
That
name.
that guy's a little weasel. Yeah, if I was to see him in public, I'd step on his toe. So, yeah, I mean, and now they have it on the vote to let dispensaries back into town. So who in their
After
right
throwing everybody out like
how
that.
in your right mind as a business owner would you take the step to go into that community knowing that in the next election cycle in 2 years that you could lose it all again?
Exactly.
Well, you know what? This is America, but I will say this. I can't believe they pull people over in Arizona to check if they're illegal immigrants. I mean, that to me is profiling like crazy. That's racism.
Yeah.
If you think,
Have you ever been to Arizona? Spend much time there?
yeah, I have.
Yeah, like Southern Arizona,
Especially when
is
they implemented
mad.
this new
Like
marijuana
anything-
law. I spent a lot of time down there.
Anything
I
off
wrote
the
book.
8 is just a weird scenario, like the border patrol crossings and stuff down there.
Then you got all the
10
Indian land,
Oh, yeah, you got all that down there.
and that's crazy.
yeah. I mean, you
Different
got
laws.
Exactly.
You know?
Absolutely. I know a lot of Indians. I
Yeah.
mean, Native Americans.
Dots are feathers.
I'm watching them
See,
right now
I think
try to
if
retake.
we had a lot more tribe land here, we would be growing industrial hemp.
Oh, yeah.
But South Dakota isn't right there. Russell Means was trying to actually take the eastern Montana, Dakota land, all the Indian tribes, and form its own sovereign government in the United States. And now he's dead. I mean, there might be foul play there. I don't know. But at the same
Yes.
time, you just had a guy who said screw the government for the last 35, 40 years. And he just – and
And he started to.
well, no, he's done it his whole life, but he just stepped up, and they've got all the Indian tribes right now, all the casino tribes and stuff. The ones that have disposable income are about to get into serious banking, loaning money, and they're going to step out and almost be sovereign. And if they can clean up the reservations and then get all the meth and all the alcohol off of them that's been their plague for the last 10 years, they're going to turn it around. And if they start a sovereign revolution, you're going to see states taking 10th Amendment rights and saying, hey, we're done with this too. You know, the federal government's overstepped its boundaries. It's time to take 2 steps back. You know, we all understand what the problems are now, and we're going to approach them individually by close geographical area.
And what better to heal them besides marijuana and letting them grow hemp and
exactly.
to
Something
clean that
used to be a part of their
fuel
culture.
source. It's 4 times more fuel than corn. And switchgrass too. All the Indians right now. I have a buddy who did a huge study at Haskell University about switchgrass, and switchgrass has got even more energy per acre than hemp. So you grow those 2 products side by side, you have all this sugarcane, type material that has so much energy in it for alcohol and all these other products that they can create. And then you have hemp, which you can create every kind of oil out of, hemp plastics, all that stuff, which is biodegradable and has all these benefits that none of these, you can't tell me Monsanto corn has more energy in it and more viability as a fuel product than.
But it's the only kind of corn you could get right now. So
because of legalization. I mean, you go look at who's in charge of Monsanto and how they pushed a lot of their genetic engineering through. PG&E, there's a law firm that ran Monsanto back in the early 80s that, was their legal oversight during the 80s. Guess who ran that? Who was part of their legal team? Hillary Clinton. Northern Mississippi, and they ran Monsanto's patents and stuff and made sure that all those Terminator gene patents were able to go through. And you've got a Department of Agriculture that was more than willing to turn a blind eye to the entire thing.
Well, the Department of Agriculture's turned a blind eye to this as well. They don't want anything to do with it. As a matter of fact, you're not even allowed to grow on agricultural land, greenhouses, for your MMC.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but we'll give you money not to grow a product by a crop rotation product or CRP payment. We'll pay you not to grow anything on your land, or we will not let you grow something that's completely profitable that takes very little land.
I mean, if you drive through the middle of California, you'll see that they are paying people to not use up the water resource and stuff. So what do? Do we keep hanging on to it and fighting powers, or do we finally figure out a solution to be able to work with them?
We need to figure out the solution.
We do.
It's called being sensible.
But will it happen?
Right.
Well, we've got to hop to a commercial break. Then we'll be back to ranting and raving momentarily.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
2 of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our 2 locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Welcome back.
You're not supposed to be here right now.
Look who just showed up.
We hijacked your show tonight, and you're not supposed to be here.
Did you guys sing the happy birthday birthday song?
Oh, no, but we will.
No.
No, actually, we don't have a copyright on it, so you can't sing happy birthday, but
Here.
happy birthday to my 8-year-old.
Is he here? We can sing to him.
Cumpleaños a ti.
Thank you, guys.
Feliz cumpleaños a ti.
That was the absent, wonderful Georgia Edson.
Yes.
She's not here in spirit.
Another thing we have to think about too is how many of these counties are going to ban recreational marijuana if already 91 communities already banned MMJ sales.
Yep. But
So-
that's why I don't go to
Will they be able
Windsor
to?
or Greeley.
But what if,
or
like,
Longmont.
Denver-
That's not the only reason you don't go to Greeley.
Smells like cow shit. Sorry, Greeley.
But what if Denver? What if Fort Collins says no recreational, and they let people apply there? Does that mean the medical models
Then
get
there
to
is
stay?
going to be an entire
Well,
uproar
exactly.
over incarceration.
Yeah, I mean, because that's one thing. I mean, like, I haven't seen it here, but we're used to it where we're from in Texas. I mean, there's dry counties.
No.
Oh,
it's,
You know.
Maybe the medical model is a safer way to go. I mean, if they ban recreational MMCs, are you going to be able to still have your or recreational marijuana retail centers? Are you going to still be allowed to have your medical marijuana centers? Is what I'm saying.
It depends on how
answer.
much influence the bishop has on the county. Because the only people that you see as true ardent marijuana prohibitionists usually are catching orders from their pastor. You know, y'all need to go and vote no on 64 on Sunday.
Well, take it easy because there's a lot of pastors that are for it.
Yeah, but the ones who aren't,
They're
who
the
are
ones who
down at
understand that
Focus
God
on
put
the
the plant
Family
here.
in Colorado
I mean, we don't want the
Springs
Christians
and
to
all
talk
those
bad
places.
about us. We can't always be that way either.
It's not necessarily a Christian thing. I mean, there are Christian people who are very logical and actually
But they
think
need
through.
to be educated.
But there are so many people who go in and are brainwashed by others that, you know, I could be, in technicality, I could be considered brainwashed. Ed Rosenthal brainwashed me at 12 years old and said, hey, this plant right here ain't that bad. You know, I read that article in High Times. It was great. You know, changed my worldview, changed my life. Tried the stuff. Hey, this stuff ain't that bad. Let's keep going with this. Hey, 20 years later, hey, this ain't that bad.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I have no felonies. I have no DUIs, none of that stuff. I made it out pretty clear for being a rowdy 20-something. And now I'm in my 30s, and I don't give a shit to do any of that rowdy stuff anymore.
Exactly.
I'm an adult. I don't necessarily look or, respond to some things like an adult, but at the other times I speak and act orderly. I don't.
At the end of the day, you still support yourself. You're still able to pay tax. You're still able to take care of yourself, and that's where it is.
Even though I,
when is it considered harmful? I mean, everyone's gonna have fun.
Right.
Everyone needs a
Exactly.
couple drinks sometimes. Everybody needs people, social things.
But can you do it responsibly?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Marijuana smokers are more responsible than alcohol drinkers 85% of the time.
We have front
See,
row
I don't
seats
like
at
to
our
make
Colfax
statements,
store.
but I'll tell you what. I
Jesus
think
Christ.
anything
If
in
anybody wants
excess is
a
bad.
true social experiment, come to Colfax and watch firsthand what drugs are.
Yeah.
Seriously, no.
Oh, I mean, we watch it all day. every
Watch
day.
who comes through our doors and what they ask for.
Oh, you mean just viewing it, being in that
Yeah,
area?
yeah, just
Oh.
being in that
don't
area and
even
just watch it.
understand-
I mean,
like we said, there's somebody got hit in the front of the car 30 minutes ago. I just got a text message at the phone that somebody got hit by a car. That guy
because
was
they're
drunk as piss.
walking around.
He was not smoking weed, just chilling on the sidewalk. He was drunk as piss, staggering across Colfax, 6 lanes of traffic, and he got his ass smashed. I've seen it happen one time directly in front of me where I saw the guy get hit. The first Sunday we were ever open, I had a heart attack and a pedestrian hit by a car. And we only opened for 6 hours, 12 to 6.
Pedestrian hit your car.
No, he hit by a car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like out in the street in front of us.
Right in front of the building.
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
I'm like watching it.
Yeah.
Boom, the
and
guy
we,
gets
and
hit.
we watch it. We watch it all day, every day because, I mean, a lot of these people, they're alcoholics because there's a liquor store right next door to us.
Yeah. Mhm.
And they live in all those motels that
we-
surround us, and
we
that's where they
watch
live.
the zombie walk all day
Yeah.
to the liquor store.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And this is what they're spending
a
their
social experiment.
welfare checks on. Like, this is what the government funding is going to, is keeping these people in these...
they don't eat. They drink.
Yeah, they don't eat.
Well, have you ever been to like a DUI alcohol class? Have you ever listened
Yes,
to it?
I have. did me absolutely no good.
Excited about it.
Right. That was he really enjoyed that class.
I had to educate my
made
stupid
the best of it.
instructor who was buzzed out of her head on coffee every time she showed up.
That's another thing.
Late
All these
every
people whacked
time.
out on coffee. I mean,
Speaking
is
of
that
coffee,
not?
I don't drink it.
our discussion we were having on the way over here?
Oh.
Of them talking about how
Can you have too much or you
There's
shouldn't drive?
There's more
No.
MMJ dispensaries
yeah,
than Starbucks.
than Starbucks.
Well, who the hell cares? That's the problem. There's too many Starbucks and not enough independent coffee distributors.
Right. Well, if we just went with the Amsterdam model and put them together, maybe we could make some,
Yeah.
real moves.
Dude,
Because
Starbucks weed,
would probably taste like mocha bullshit.
it'd be awesome.
You would like it. I would.
I like the chai
Because it'd be
flavor.
the most expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would.
you get 20 grams for.
It's true. They'd have like a whole little.
Is that small or medium?
It's small in my age.
Caramel on it.
That's right.
You're like, that's just
Little
super
bit of whipped
medium to me. I don't
topping.
play around. You know what? It's true though. Who is going to be the person that all of a sudden comes out with these brands? The Bud Light, the Budweiser.
be brands?
Because it's going that way.
I mean,
No, it's been
don't-
that way.
I honestly think
Used
some
to
of the
go
first
back
ones
the
will
other
be the cigarette companies. I think they're ready for it.
Oh,
I think
they own so much ground in Northern California. If people knew the acreage that was owned by private people that are like secondaries of these huge tobacco companies, they would just be floored. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of acres that are owned by Philip Morris, Laura Lard, R.J. Reynolds, all these people who are geared up for this to go legal. You know, they have their secondary plan when people
it's
quit
the alcohol
smoking
companies
cigarettes.
lobbying to stop us.
Well, yeah, the number one anti-marijuana lobby is Anheuser-Busch. Well, what are they now? Unibrow. That's who bought them in 2008. It's Unibrow, B-R-A-U, which is one brew or whatever. It's out of Belgium. It's a huge company.
It has a
Probably.
unibrow.
They are trying to stop us with their unibrows.
It is Anthony Davis
they
from
just keep-
University of Kentucky.
Every time we see them, they winking at us.
We know when they're happy and when they're mad.
It's all about these.
Look like so saucilies. You know, I think big tobacco. It would have been interesting to see if 70 passed, how the big tobacco came in.
They would have got shut down, I think. 70 was written so it was going to protect a lot of the in-state interests, I think.
Mm-hmm.
64 leaves a lot of vagueness where they could, it leaves the manufacturing side so open that it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, I
how
think
it's
they
written.
should have done it that way too. I mean, because I met with Rob Campia, from the Marijuana Policy Project before he did Amendment 64, and I remember we were talking about it, and I told him, this is a constitutional amendment. How can we write don't consume on premises and things like that? And he said we have to try to keep it as vague as possible in the Constitution because they're going to implement those rules. I mean, look at House Bill 1284, then you had 1043 plus Senate Bill 109 plus a 90-page DOR draft. I mean, how many rules do you need?
14.
Well, it's once you start putting riders onto everything that everything becomes corrupt. Every rider bill in Congress is another step towards corruption. Here's money that we're going to spend some way it doesn't need to be spent. Here's some rule that we're going to add. This is like the NDAA and all that stuff that the Senate passed. You start adding rider bills to stuff, and people don't read it. So things just end up passed because they're voting for the original bill. The language was written by lawyers. It's legalese. Nothing means what it does to us.
Legalese.
Have you read Amendment 64? Have you read Amendment 64?
Just the overview of it. That was
Yeah,
on
because
the
it's only 4 pages, and it's probably one of the easiest pieces of law in the world to understand.
Yep.
So everybody should read it. Tonight, if you're voting tomorrow, literally, if you're on Facebook saying, it does this and that, and you don't know what you're talking about, it's 4 pages long. Don't make yourself look stupid. Pick it up, read it, find out what it is, because it's actually a historical mark in time. I mean, I see it all day. People getting upset about things that they don't understand. There's a lot
they don't have
to
the full
this.
grasp on it.
And it's so simple, and it's actually the one piece of legislature that I would say is really easy to understand.
Yeah. Only 4 pages long.
1284 is like I mean, anything's better than 1284.
Yeah. It's only 4 pages long. We've got to hit a commercial break, so go read it during the commercial break. We'll be right back to look at some glass real fast.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com. You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
And we're back. Welcome to this edition of Glass Monday, since we've been talking about glass the whole time.
Yep. I hope you all paid attention, because it was one of the more informative shows we've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, and Amendment 64 was a very big deal to, I think all of us in this room, so we definitely wanted to...
If you want to use these and you don't have a medical card, vote yes on Amendment 64.
Exactly.
If you want to actually buy your product legally and not have to deal with some backdoor shady crap, and you want to use these, please vote yes on Amendment 64.
This is true. So what we got over there, Janonymous?
We have new products from Swagger. These are some minis. We have 2 of the new Cirque Perk minis. They're in 45 ml cans. You have one of those that is a Sherlock.
It is some hot glass.
This is a Sherlock design.
You're telling me.
You've got a Doer seal with an 18 on this one. Maria's stem, real nice little piece. Everybody loves those.
Just kidding.
I like that sound.
It's like a romance novel, except for they're saying
except there's no novel.
Where's the book? Anyways, here's the side.
We're making a movie.
Gosh. Oh, this place.
It's usually way more professional when we're not here.
Yeah. Almost always.
We make it fun.
That's right.
Anyways, here's their new mini 8-arm. It's also another really wonderful design. The feet on these are super thick, real nice piece. Price? Mid-200s. You come in, holler at me. I might even treat you better.
Come on.
These are low 200s.
We're hollering
here.
right now. Just kidding.
Holla, holla, holla.
I don't hear any hollering. I'm just saying, I don't hear any hollering right now.
Do I hear $1, $1?
Better not sell those for $1. We're going to have some problems.
They're not for auction. That's just how much tax rate we're going to charge on top. $1, $1. All right. That's all we brought today to talk about glass-wise is, nothing's too exciting. We're going to have a whole bunch of new Halens for you next month. A bunch of new designs that he's got going that are going to be really, really fun. Y'all are creepy.
And some of the cool things about these new Swagger pieces we just brought in
this is the coolest thing of the whole day.
Very easily, can you add a dome to make this for your concentrates?
Yep. If you are concentrating really, really hard, you're going to need an adapter joint and a dome. And a nail.
And a torch.
And a
dabber.
And a dabber.
And a dabkin.
So you need to head over to Mad Hatters where you can get all of that.
You sure as hell can. We have 2 locations. One of them's been closed for the last 3 weeks for construction. That's the one next to MMD at 2615 Walnut Street. It should be open towards the end of this week if all goes well. So please pay me a visit. I'll be there personally. Come hang out. I like to talk.
He'll hook you up.
Maybe, if you're cool.
Yeah,
And you
if
mentioned
not,
iCannabis Radio. I mean, all the iCannabis listeners
just-
get a discount.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I'll give you 20% off just by mentioning iCannabis. Wink
didn't even
at me,
clear
I'll
that
give you
with the boss.
21%.
You know this used to be a porn studio.
No, I did it. No wonder we feel like this. The walls are talking.
Whoa.
We got the camera hole right there.
That was it.
Hey.
Holy moly. Did you Edsons know what you're getting yourselves into? They said their lives been much better since they moved into the studio.
It is a much better studio. I like it a lot more.
I do too. It's the comfort level here's great.
Mm-hmm.
Far superior to that of the old location.
Yeah, we don't have to walk by AT&T people and go, we're smoking weed over here.
Yeah, they look at us weird over
I know,
there.
they were jealous as a motherfucker.
And then the dispensary moves in right down the hall.
Exactly. And they had a testing lab upstairs. They're just like, we're surrounded in this corporate bastard entity we work for.
Wow.
P tests us. Who's ready to go home?
I think
Oh, we
everyone.
got 4 minutes?
Yeah, you got 4 minutes.
Dang, man. I only
Fill
have
that
half
time
a
up.
beer. I'm going to have to fill my beer. I have to fill up this time. My potentiometer is almost empty.
He'll be
Maybe
back
if
in
you were
4 minutes and
utilizing
the show will be
cannabis
over.
instead of alcohol,
I have.
not only would you be safer, but you would be happier.
I wouldn't be as funny.
True.
You need to work on that anyway.
I know. It's awful. It's such. I'm on IFC, man. No HBO special for me.
He comes with the free movie channel.
Right.
That's right. It's the you done skipped this one on your favorites. This is not on Paul's list.
No DVR. Block channel.
Yeah.
Parental controls.
This is the one show I keep off my hopper.
The hopper.
You need to start cooking, running, jogging, and leaving. Thank you, Cable, for ingraining some shithead Brooklyn bastard into my mind.
I thought that was Saturday Night Live.
No, the hoppa is off.
I know.
Okay, just making sure that you knew that was on every 16 seconds on every cable station in America.
It doesn't come on ESPN a whole lot. That's usually the channel
That's
I
the most
watch.
expensive to advertise on. And the least needing to be filled by Dish Network commercials.
Oh, exactly. Because they also make their own commercials that are hilarious.
Ooh.
ESPN makes the best
Oh,
commercials.
of course they do.
Speaking of ESPN,
Turn it on.
we've got it on here. We're watching Monday Night Football during the show. I bet none of y'all realize that, huh?
I bet you Drew Brees is kicking the hell out of Michael
He
Vick.
really hasn't done much yet.
Well, yeah.
He's my fantasy QB.
There he
There we
is.
go. There we go. Now he got me some points.
There he is.
Now I'm happy.
Well, if their defense was worth the hell, New Orleans, it might be pretty good.
Well, there's no more bounty program, so they
why
have no
even hit it?
incentive.
Why even hit anyone? If I don't get an extra 20 grand, why even hit that bastard? Let's go home.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in on Glass Mondays in George's absence, and definitely, please, everyone get out to the polls tomorrow and vote.
pretty cool, huh?
It's going to be crowded. The lines are going to be long, but we need this to happen. For a better future for America. This isn't just to help people just sit around and get stoned. This is about logic.
Yep. It's about voting
about
on
growth.
everything between 63 and 65.
Yeah, you can vote no on 46 if you want to.
Yep. But
That is so confusing. Quit doing that. Yes, on 64, not
Yes,
no
on
on
64,
46.
no on 46. There is no 46
For
right
all
now.
the dyslexics,
And ban
no on 46.
Dyslexics untie.
Pull it together this Monday.
Dyslexics untie.
This is Paul and Anonymous from Mad Hatter Smoke Shop on iCannabis Radio.
All
Thank
day.
you so much, Chloe, for coming in and
Thanks for having
helping
me.
us understand 64 a little better.
She's not just a pretty voice; she's also pretty in person.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Very.
In case you hadn't got a compliment today, there you go.
Oh, thanks so much.
Now it's
Now,
time.
no
I
more.
had a lot of
We're
fun.
done.
Now it's
We
time to
only
get
have one
lost.
nice thing to
Don't
say
tell her
today.
too
That
much.
was it. That was it.
Rock and roll, kids.
All right.
If you can't keep it in your pants, keep it in your family.
Whoa. That is not how we roll around here. That is how John rolls, and that's it.
Welcome to West Virginia.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 8 for
Oh,
Sexpot
you
Radio.
have to train wreck Georgia's show. You can't let it go unharassed.
Yeah, exactly. With her not here.
Yeah, she's
We
here,
have to.
kind of, not here.
But definitely listen in
She's
tomorrow at
here,
8
it's
o'clock with Jenny Cush for Sexpot Radio.
Which could get
Wednesday,
even
we
weirder
have.
than this.
No Wednesday.
Thursday, 4 to
Stickman and
4 to
Holly
5,
G.
THC radio, the hemp connoisseur.
Thursday from 4 to 5 is the Hemp Connoisseur.
7 to 8 to 10 is Overgrow.
That's
And
Stickman.
8 to 10 is what?
Overgrow with Stickman.
Stickman. Holly G's on Stickman.
Well, there we go.
I used to live in Holly
Watch
G's
all
old
the
house.
watch all the other stuff.
Weird.
And keep tuning in to Georgia
Tiny
Show
world.
on Monday. We'll be here once a month to keep ruining it. First Mondays, don't forget. Thanks
It's
for tuning in.
destroyed